Thank you for watching a live edition of Saturday Kickoff, a special Christmas Eve show. I am Fidel Barraza, alongside with me, Walter Stringer. What's going on, Walt?
Man, I can't call it. Can't call it. It's a Saturday, but feels like a Sunday because we got a slate full of games today, man. And it's Christmas Eve. So the kids taken care of, wife's taken care of. I got a full slate of games today, so I'm taken care of.
How's the weather treating you over there, Walt, in Detroit?
Oh, it's cold, man. It's cold. You wouldn't know anything about this out there in
I
that
mean,
lovely.
it's 32 degrees outside. It's foggy. To me, it's cold.
Man,
So,
that's privileged. That's privileged weather considering what the hell we dealing with here, man. We got
California privilege.
5 degrees.
Yeah,
Five
I'm over it.
degrees, man. Yesterday it was 7 degrees with winds up to 50 miles per hour. So
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good over here in California.
I'm sure, man. 32 degrees is rough for y'all though.
It is very rough. Yeah, you should see me when I walk outside my house. I got the scarf, I got the peacoat, I got the beanie, I got all that stuff. So, but yeah, no, don't have to worry about the weather indoors, so we're good. But yeah, so big week 16 coming up. We got a lot of games today, actually. But first off, let's talk about Thursday night football between the New York Football Jets and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Man, I mean, what can you say? These Jets, Zach Wilson is struggling. Jags win 19-3. But to me, the score doesn't really tell the story of the game because essentially Zach Wilson played horrible. Horrible. I mean, is there another word for horrible that's worse than that? Because that's what Zach Wilson's performance was. And then he even got benched.
Yeah. Oh boy. First of all, I think it's rough as that. He was thrown into a situation he really wasn't prepared for at all. He wasn't groomed for at all. This was a New York's Jet team that was rebuilding. They were in year one last year of the rebuild. They made him the number two overall pick. He was supposed to be the centerpiece of what they had. They went out and they had Mekhi Becton, who didn't hasn't well actually hasn't panned out at all. His career could possibly be over with. I think not having him has been major as far as the rebuild of that offensive line. Another guy, Elijah Vera Tucker, not being there. He was another guy that was supposed to be a solid building piece for them. That hasn't worked out. They brought over Corey Davis from Tennessee. They drafted him a couple tight ends. They went out. They invested a top 10 pick in Garrett Wilson from Ohio State. He's a complete stud. The defense is top two in the league, but they also lost the run game. I think the initial plan for the Jets were to kind of protect him this season, considering the fact I believe he missed 5 or 6 games last season due to some injuries, but bring him along slowly in year two. They were supposed to ride Brees Hall. Brees tore an ACL, and once he tore that ACL, the running game went completely out the window. So then it became a situation where they had to lean on Zach more than they were really prepared to this season. But it's in the Jets' best interest to make sure this kid succeeds. Because when you compare him to Mike White, everybody loves the backup quarterback. He comes in, no one's really prepared for him. He makes a few plays, but let's keep in mind, he threw for a lot of yards those last couple games before he got hurt. Mike White, I'm speaking of, but they were
Mhm.
high volume. There were a lot of attempts, therefore he got the yards off that. He hadn't thrown a touchdown in 2 games either. So watching the Jets game against the Lions a couple weeks ago, of course I have vested interest. I'm a Lions fan. Zach made plays in that game that Mike White can't do. And that's the thing. You see the flashes with him, but it's like in the midst of all of that, the intangibles of the game, the nuances of playing the quarterback position, being able to manipulate coverages, being able to read coverages, being able to throw with rhythm and timing, he struggles with all of that. And then you hear that, the locker room isn't as receiving towards him as you would expect. And then you go back to BYU and heard things about him being that type of guy at BYU. It all wraps up into a package where this kid is he's going to struggle to succeed, but it's in their best interest for him to succeed because you invested the number two overall pick. So I say bring him back. I think you compete. You force him to compete with Mike White this offseason.
I'll be honest with you. Well, I think he's done in New York. It's just, oh, lights just went out.
I thought,
Um,
oh, that's
yeah,
a sign, man. Don't
that's a
keep
sign.
talking bad on
Oh,
Zach,
hey, you know
man.
what that was? Is I just came up with a thought.
Oh, you
So,
did.
so here it goes. So I think Zach Wilson's best scenario is to be done in New York and just move somewhere else. Oh, here we go.
Oh,
Moving
oh,
off
oh
again.
boy.
Um, look, to me, I mean, Robert Saleh obviously is a defensive coach. He's a head coach. To me, Zach Wilson needs to go somewhere where there's an offensive minded head coach. He's still young, man. So, I mean, there's still a lot to get out of him there. But, I mean, look, when you have the team wear shirts of the backup quarterback that replaced him, like, that's not good for his confidence. And yeah, he's being forced to play because Mike White's hurt, but he's playing scared. He's scared to make mistakes.
Yeah, I think it's not cool for the team to throw him under the bus like that. To me, it leads me to believe that there's more. Oh, maybe it is cool for them to throw him under the bus like
I don't
that.
know.
Yeah, to me, it just leads to me thinking that it's more than just on field between Zach Wilson and the rest of that team. Because for them to blatantly disrespect him like that, it's not good. It's not good. But I think they're going to figure out that Mike White ain't the long term answer either.
He's not. So I mean, so here's my other question to you. Well, what do they do in the offseason? Look, this team is not going to make the playoffs. So let's get that out of the way. I know the record. I mean, there's still a chance that they will, but I don't think they're going to. So move on to the offseason. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks available potentially, right? So, I mean, what do you do?
Well, if
Because
you're
as
the
we
Jet,
know, we're
yeah.
in the business of what can you do for me now, not later. And
Well, I
this is
mean,
going to
if you're
be
the Jets,
is it Robert
you're
Sala's
trying to
third
win
year
now,
next
right?
season?
Third
Yeah.
year. Yep.
Yep. You got to
Yeah.
do something. So what do you do?
Um, I don't think he's in danger of losing his job though, because I think it's more than obvious he's done, and I think the organization has done as much as they can. Um, Having issues with Makai Becton and Elijah Vera Tucker and Brees Hall having injuries and not working out, that happens. You're gonna swing and miss on some guys, but they've drafted some pretty damn good players over the past 2 or 3 drafts. I don't think it's Salah. I think it's definitely the quarterback position that's holding them back right now. Now, if you want to move forward in the offseason, what can they really do?
No,
I
but
mean,
I'm talking about
honestly,
more of the quarterback situation. But essentially next year, because let's be honest, this team was ahead a year. Nobody was expecting them to play this good early in the season, right? So, and they were in a really good position, but unfortunately, things happen, and now they're in limbo right now if they're going to make the playoffs or not. But in the offseason and to improve, because in the offseason you want to improve your football team, right? So one of the positions you need to improve is the quarterback position. So what do you do?
I'm saying I think it's in their best interest to bring him along some more next season. Make them compete. I mean, if you love Mike White so much, make them both compete. Because what other option do they honestly have? You're going to go out and bring in somebody else's trash, somebody else that
Well,
another team gave up on.
I got a quarterback in mind.
Jameis,
It happens to
because
be
it
40.
seems to me Jameis Winston's feelings are hurt
Well,
in New
yeah, no,
Orleans.
definitely
So
don't want to do Jameis. There's going to be a 45-year-old quarterback that's going to be a free agent next season.
no, no, no,
I don't know. I'm just throwing
no,
it out there. That's a
no.
possibility. He's going to be a free agent. So,
I think
hey, who
Jameis
knows?
is a possibility. Jameis,
Uh,
he's a veteran right now. You put Jameis in that
Yeah,
offense,
yeah.
they're
I'm not.
better.
I'm gonna skip on Jameis. No, not Jameis.
Well, Dalton,
Really?
the draft. I mean, do you go out and draft another kid?
No, you don't draft a kid. You got to get someone in free agency or via trade. So, it's going to be a very interesting offseason for the New York Jets,
Well,
but they
listen,
got to do
they
something about
can't
the
trade
quarterback
him.
situation.
They're not gonna with the way he's playing right now. I think it's in their best interest to not play him the rest of the season. You don't want him to look any worse than he's already looked. So if they're
Well,
planning on trading him,
no, not trade him, but trade for a quarterback.
well, I mean, there's a lot of people that feel they should trade him.
Dude, who wants him?
He's got
Who's going to
talent.
want him?
He's
You're going
still
to
a
get a
ba-
player that's confidence is
Fidel.
shattered.
He's still a baby, and he still has talent. You telling me there's not some arrogant offensive coordinator around the league that's
Oh,
looking
no,
at
there's
him
a lot.
saying I can win with him?
Yeah, no, I'm sure that there's quite a bit out there.
Sean McVay.
Hey, they got Baker Mayfield, Mr. 98 yards. All right. So I think they're good with the quarterback position there. And Matt Stafford's going to come back next season. So
Oh
he's not going to
boy.
retire.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Look who it is.
Old Saint Jerry. What's up, man?
Merry Christmas or Christmas Eve to everybody out there. Whew.
This is what happens when you don't let a QB sit for 2 years and learn.
Ooh.
You know what?
I've been
I
hearing what you
give
guys been talking about. So
Zach Wilson.
yeah, Zach
Jets.
Wilson, Jets. And I like Fidel said, hey, they're a little bit ahead of schedule, man. So give them a break. Young team, man.
I know, but we're just talking about like what do you do at the quarterback position in the offseason?
Man, I was just having this conversation last night, and I think sometimes it's probably better for a change. I think with
No.
Zach Wilson, I don't. The thing with Zach Wilson is he's still relatively young. We really don't realize how young
He's
he
a
is.
baby.
I mean, young. He's a young quarterback. He's probably one of the younger. He's younger than Trevor. I think give it to him. Let me fact check that real quick. But anyways, long story short is when you're playing quarterback at that position, like you said, it's a lot of pressure on your shoulders. And the thing with him is that we've seen immaturity all off season, so we haven't really seen him work with a quarterback coach that he can refine his skills on. Right?
He's 23.
You got 3-step, 5-step, 7-step dropbacks that people are looking for in their quarterbacks. And with Zach Wilson, yeah, we know about his arm strength and whatnot. But the thing is that this system is not predicated on just you having a flashy arm. Like you said, it's a lot of RPO, it's a lot of design running plays. So with Zach Wilson, yeah, maybe it is time for a change for him. I think that maybe perhaps if he goes to another team, I will say this: the conversation we're having is everybody wants to give a lot of props to the Kyle Shanahan system, and this is what they're running in the New York Jets offense. Yes or no? Well, am I right or wrong?
Pretty close to it. Yeah.
But this is what they said. They said give Zach Wilson to Kyle Shanahan, and I guarantee Kyle Shanahan will have way better. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, but you know what
the
though? I think
conversation.
there's something we can't account for. And this goes back, Jerry, 2 years, almost 2.5 years when we were covering that draft, that COVID draft.
Yeah.
And we discussed Zach Wilson in comparison to Justin Fields. And there were a lot of issues people had with Fields' throwing motion, his delivery, and he's not the picture perfect quarterback, and he doesn't do this well. And Zach Wilson does this. He throws this pretty football, and he does this and he does that. There's a lot to be said for just having a natural feel to play quarterback and play football. And that's something to me that was always missing with Zach Wilson. He just came across as a dude, because he played baseball, I believe, in high school too. He came across to me as a dude who just had a gifted arm. And things kind of came easy to him. He never had to really work for it. You look at what happened on the field. This dude played 9 games as a freshman. He was hurt his sophomore season, I believe, played 9 games. And then he had a major jump his junior year. He threw 33 touchdowns, had 3 picks, I believe, or 9 picks, and then he skyrocketed up draft boards. But you couldn't really compare that to much because he didn't play anybody. And it's hard to evaluate these quarterbacks who struggle for 2 years, make one major leap. It took you 3 years to really figure out college football. So am I supposed to really believe that after that glorious year you had in college, that one year, you're going to make the next jump, which is 2 or 3 levels higher than that mentally, and be okay? To me, Zach looks like he's shook out there and he's unsure of himself. That's why he's constantly rolling out. He's bailing on clean pockets. It's like he almost can't see what's going on in front of him, and he can't throw with timing and rhythm.
Yeah, but
So
at the same time, Walt, though, he's playing scared because he understands everyone's staring, everyone's looking at him like, hey, like they drafted me second overall. The New York media is on me, the national media is on me. Like I cannot afford to make a mistake.
well,
So
is it
to
game
me, that's
planning?
not a good place to be at.
Is it game planning though?
Well, I mean, to me, it's a little bit of everything. But essentially, he's playing scared out there. He's not, that confident kid out of BYU that came out of the draft. It's not him right now. He's just playing scared.
Look, there's there's some things that are very certain in life, right? That's death in Texas. What do you say? Zach Wilson had bad footwork and he
True.
would get hurt.
We talked about that earlier. Yeah, about his footwork being
He also
horrible.
he also said that if he's Jets, he's a Strever. Strever's his guy. Now that's where I was kind of getting to. There's two places that you don't want to play quarterback at. There's Philly and the New York Jets, man. You can't play quarterback there. I'm just sorry. That fan base is ruthless,
Well,
man.
New York in general. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ruthless there. So,
Yeah.
for anybody that's especially young, you got to have that kind of mentality. In this case, Trevor kind of reminds me of a man. It's kind of hard, but with me, it kind of hits home because another place that it's very hard to play quarterback is Dallas Cowboys. I mean, the lights are big, everything's big, the city's big, and it's hard, man, to put a star on your helmet. So these places are very difficult to play. So you got to have that underdog mentality to really be able to win the hearts over of that franchise base, and of course the actual city itself. So it's kind of hard that Zach Wilson is in the situation. Maybe perhaps if they could, in the offseason trade him to another place, maybe he can rehabilitate his. At this point, it's mental and of course mechanics. So yeah, he would definitely need to go somewhere where they actually preach footwork and stress it and show it to him. But with the New York Jets situation, like you said, they're ahead of schedule. I like their defense. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
But let's talk about the other side of it now too. The Jacksonville Jaguars. What a
Oh
turnaround for
man,
this football team, and what a difference Doug Peterson's made there for Trevor Lawrence.
for sure, man. I tried saying this. What was it? Was it Tuesday? No, Wednesday. I'm sorry, Wednesday during our live. Said, man, these Jags are gonna wait. They're gonna find a way to punch in a ticket. They're gonna punch in their ticket to the playoffs. And I'll tell you this: nobody in that AFC wants to see these Jags right now, man, because these Jags are starting to find stride right now. And Trevor Lawrence is exactly what we thought he was. He just needed the right coaching staff, man, the right system in place, and it just shows you, man, what the right coach and the right quarterback can do, man. Because I'll tell you this much right now: I think that if you look across the board, the same thing could be said for a lot of these quarterbacks that people like to call average, man. If you get the right coach in place, it's a different situation. Look at what Trevor's been able to do. He's been able to excel at a very high level in a Andy Reid type system that they're running there in Jacksonville.
And not even make the playoffs, but potentially win the division and host a playoff game with Ryan Tannehill being out now for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think Jacksonville and Trevor's doing what you really want them to do. They're playing their best football late in the season, not fully as a team, but as usual, the team goes in the direction the quarterback goes in. So when it happened, I'm not sure. A lot of people say it was the Baltimore game. I thought he started to turn the corner before the Baltimore game. The Baltimore game was kind of like the light officially going off with him. They haven't given him an entire lot as far as throwing the football talent wise around him, but he's making the most of it. He's making the guys around him better. They can still upgrade some stuff around him, but the light has went off. And in comparison to Zach Wilson, Trevor came into year two struggling also. And I remember around weeks 3 or 4, there was a lot of podcasts floating around throwing the big B word out there in reference to Trevor Lawrence, whether or not he was a bust or not. It wasn't us, but people were really considering him to be a bust. And we have to really understand that all of these quarterbacks grow at their own pace. You know,
And, yeah.
some
And
guys
now it's a
jumped off.
party.
Yeah, so I mean, some guys jumped off immediately, figured things out year one. Some guys figured things out midway through year two, late year two. But Jacksonville's coming, man. And this is where the Jets expected Zach Wilson to be, but it's just not coming. All you can do is expect your young quarterback to improve. And he still looks like a rookie out there late in the year two. But Trevor's coming, man. Trevor's coming. People need to get prepared for what he's coming with next year because they're going to add a couple more weapons, I believe, on the perimeter. They drafted a couple solid tight ends he has to really grow with. But if they can fix the interior of that offensive line, have a healthy Travis Etienne, get another change of pace back, Trevor's going to show everybody why he was the number one overall pick.
And let's not forget they got Calvin Ridley coming in next year. They traded for him in the off season or whatnot. They got
Mm-hmm.
him right now. I think they slated them probably draft Quentin Johnson out of TCU. I've seen a lot of mocks that have Quentin Johnson going there. The offensive line looked pretty good at night against the Jets. Add a couple pieces in that secondary. They still got Josh Allen. I think we need to give a little praise to him. I think maybe because he's in Jacksonville, he don't get a lot of credit, but the guy can play. They got a good pass rusher there. I believe they still got Chase on, yeah, Tavion.
Clavion, yeah.
Yeah, I believe they got him. Or they got some young pieces. I love Devin Lord out of Utah, I believe, or whatnot. They got some great players there on that defense. They're
Chad Muma.
young and yeah. And when you look at that defense, Trevon Walker, I know you mentioned that, but you look at that defense or you look at that division in terms of the future. Tennessee, I mean, this Tannehill he's probably done there. That's
Yep.
probably Malik Willis team. Houston, they're a couple years away from actually even being talked about. The Colts don't know if they're gonna have an ESPN person calling plays or what. So I mean, there's a lot going on there with the Colts or whatnot. So I mean, that division. I think you look at right now. We was to just start the year back over. Jacksonville probably the most talented team in that division and whatnot. I think Tennessee is close. They just need a couple more weapons. I need to get Derrick Henry some help. Need to be more explosive. Treylon Burks couldn't really stay healthy this year. They need to add a receiver or two. And as we do know, Mike Vrabel was always having a tough physical team.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in terms of Jacksonville, you line them up, probably the best quarterback in that division, probably Lawrence or whatnot. So it's Jacksonville's team for the future, and they're probably gonna win it this year. I know they got the who they got next week. I know they got is it Houston they got next? The Texans. I think they got the
They play who?
the
Tennessee?
Jaguars play next. Jacksonville.
Oh, let me look.
I think they got the Texans next. I believe.
Yes,
I
they
know
do. Texans.
Okay.
It's
Well, they
gonna be
finished.
at Houston also.
Yeah, they
Yep.
finished with the.
Houston.
I think they finished with the Titans, right?
Yep.
So I think Jacksonville's in prime position, man. And just this offense is looking good. And where was this Evan Ingram at whenever he was with the Giants? Where was this Evan Ingram at? So sometimes a scheme and another destination changes things. But when they add Calvin Ridley, people forget Calvin Ridley is like that. He's that guy. He's the number one. So kind of got overshadowed a little bit there with Julio there. But man, when they add Calvin Ridley to that next year, Jacksonville gonna be a fun team, man.
You know what
And
though?
and to be fair, real quick, just to be fair, they've always preached, and they did this to you too, Walt. So we can't be too harsh on. Excuse me. You can't be too harsh on these young men because they told us already, and you took the scouting course just like I did. You got to give each player that you draft 3 years before you can make your final your final assessment of that draft pick. So these guys are at the back end of year 2, both Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Luckily, there's a big gap between Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. We can clearly see that, but it's kind of hard to write Zach Wilson off, right? And look at Justin Fields. People were writing him off year 1 as a rookie, and look, he's making the most out of. I mean, literally, like he's making.
Well, no one ever questioned Fields' dedication though and hard work.
True.
He was struggling,
True.
adjusted, to the offense and to the speed of the league. But if you look at that AFC South, Tennessee got some issues to figure out this summer too, because they need to figure out if Malik Willis is really going to be the guy, because they can find themselves in the bottom of that division next year. Remember, the Colts are just a quarterback away. They're going to have a top 10 pick. They're going to go quarterback. Now, if they got whether or not they pick the right guy is something different. You look at Houston. Houston's going to have the number 1 overall pick. They can solve
I think
their
Houston,
franchise.
they can do something there. They would just
They
took
can
the
jump.
Chiefs to over. They just took the
Houston
Chiefs
can
to
jump.
overtime. Just took the Chiefs to overtime. They got a lot of draft pick. They got hopefully Lil
They
Will.
got
They got
two
Mitch.
playmakers in the secondary.
Yeah, hopefully Mechie comes back next year. They still got Nico Collins, Brennan Cook. They probably let him go in this
Gone.
offseason.
Damian
But,
Pierce.
Two,
Damian
they
yeah,
Pierce.
got two
they
first
got
round
some.
picks too.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
got some
so
they're set
Stingley
up.
and Peachy. Yeah,
Yeah, so Houston's one quarterback away from being right there competing with the Colts and everybody else too. So Tennessee need to not be so stale. The Titans been stale for the last 3 years, man. So it's time for them to come up out of that, because Malik Willis may be the guy, he may not be.
He's got to show something in the last 3 games though, like
yeah.
something to ride some momentum into the offseason.
I mean, it's a telling time. It's a telling sign when your general manager gets fired with a winning record, right? So it just says Just shows you Tennessee's just in trouble all in general, and the
Yeah.
team is getting older on offense.
Yes.
And Derrick
Yes, they
Henry,
are.
man, the thread on the tires are getting worn out.
Yeah, I mean they got Traylon Burks, but still, it looks like it's taking him some time to pick up this
He
offense.
can't catch. He's picking up the offense. He's just not catching the damn ball.
Well, I was trying to
Hasn't he been out since the Eagles game with a concussion? Or has he played since the Eagles game a couple weeks ago when
I
he
think
got
he was
I
knocked
thought
out
he
with?
played since that Eagles
I
game.
think he was activated like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
But he was out too some games early in the year, though.
Well, yeah, that's the last major play I've seen him make. It was the one against the Eagles.
Hey,
He got knocked out.
Hey, well, he needs to help my guy Lester Hayes, man. Get some of that stickum. Now we catches the ball.
No. We don't want him to cheat.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
It's the day and age.
Yeah.
Deflated footballs
Mm-hmm.
and stick them.
Yeah. Hey, and then, we think the Colts might draft a quarterback, but
Yeah.
there's another old veteran quarterback out there, so no, they
Man,
might
don't
be
do
hesitant
this.
to sign him. So we'll see. But hey, there's a lot of games on today, a lot of playoff implications. Walt, let's put up that playoff standing real quick.
Certainly.
All right. So a lot of teams can clinch playoff spots today and tomorrow. Out of all the games, we got a lot of games today. We got Baltimore hosting the Falcons, Detroit going to Carolina, Buffalo going to Chicago, New Orleans, Cleveland, Seattle, Kansas City. Out of all those games, which one are you guys the most locked into? And I know which one you're going to say, Jerry, because there's a very important matchup in Dallas between the Eagles and the Cowboys.
Yeah, but at this point, it's kind of hard for the Cowboys to take the division. So, I mean, it's at this point, it's not the game that we thought it was going to be. I mean, it would have been different if it would have been different if the Cowboys would have came away with a win with the Jags. Then the Eagles would be taking this serious. So, it's kind of hard for me to say that. But yeah, of course, every Cowboy game is an important game for the Dallas Cowboys. But what about the French ones? Let's scroll on down. Well, a little bit. So that's kind of like where we want to be at right now in the hunt right now. So obviously the ones that are still up there, and I guess tomorrow, right? Because tomorrow
the majority of the games are being played today. Tomorrow we got 3 games. So we got Green Bay at Miami, Denver at Los Angeles, Tampa Bay at Arizona.
That's the one I was looking for. The Green Bay, Miami on a 3-game losing streak.
Yep.
Green Bay's coming in. They're kind of hot. They're kind of, I won't say hot, but they're playing some good ball right now, playing better than what they've played over the majority of the damn season. But it's a big game for the Dolphins, even big game for the Packers. So that's a quiet game because, with the NBA being in full effect next week, tomorrow for Christmas or whatnot, a lot of people not going to be tuned in, but that Dolphins and Packers that Dolphins Packers game is huge.
Yeah.
1 o'clock, I believe.
What about are the 49ers sleeping on the Commanders? That's a question to ask.
Well, the Commanders got to win. The Commanders, it's a big game for them. Chase Young's going to be back. He hasn't played all year. And, I mean, look, I don't know how many good
extra time for the 49ers to prepare. They played Seattle last week, 2 weeks ago.
If the Giants win, do they clinch? Because the Giants are facing off against the Vikings today.
They don't have to necessarily win, but there's different scenarios out there that even if they lose, they clinch.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
So that's
mm-hmm.
And then of course the Texans and the Titans. Well, the Titans can really capitalize on the division, right? Get closer with the division with today's matchup. So
how about Cincinnati at New England? That's a big game.
Oh man.
I don't even get Kendall started, man.
Appreciate it, Jerry. Appreciate that, Jerry.
If you guys want if you want to know what Kendall feels, just tune into his YouTube channel. You can see Kendall talk.
Man.
Yeah.
Like, oh God. Hey, listen, I've had 2 dreams this week that we beat the Bengals. I said that on my show the other night. I dreamed, I believe it was Thursday night. I dreamed we won, and I think it was Tuesday night. I dreamed we won. So maybe I don't know if it's just stress related. I've been thinking about it too much. And when you stress about things, you do dream about it. But I dreamed that we beat the Bengals, so we'll see. And it's weird because it happened twice. So we'll see, man. Anything we need, anything, man. And some good news came out for us this morning. Made me feel a little. Bill O'Brien's probably gonna hire him as the OC after the season. So that's good if you're a Patriots fan.
Well,
Anything better than Matt Patricia.
when I look at the sheet and I look at these two teams, the one on the NFC side is Detroit Lions. Me and Harvey have been going back and forth about this. I think they're gonna find a way to punch a ticket in. And AFC is obviously the Jaguars. We briefly talked about them. I think they're gonna punch their ticket in, and those are the two teams right now that, and they're young. They're young teams. They're picking up a lot of steam. They're picking up a lot of momentum, and those are the type of teams that you want to watch out for in the playoffs because they can literally take a win from you. So those are the two teams I'm looking at right now.
Hey,
Lions.
Fidel, how the inactives looking for a lot of teams?
Uh, let me look. But I mean, I didn't see anything that popped out this morning. What did pop out is the weather conditions. A
Yeah,
lot of
that's what I was
these
going.
games,
That's what
man.
I was about to say. Yeah,
It is cold, cold,
in
cold,
New
cold.
England, it's cold in Farmers.
So a couple inactives that are out there is the Chase Claypool for the Bears, Ravens, Kenyon Drake, Saints, Marshawn Lattimore, Saints, Marcus May. The actives, believe it or not, Kendall, the Ravens
Damian
have
Harris,
Sammy Watkins active.
my guy.
I
the,
need help. And real quick,
the Bills.
the go ahead, Jerry.
I was just gonna finish. Bills, Ed Oliver, he's active. Seahawks running back, Ken Walker's active. DJ Dallas is active. Tight end for the Seahawks, Noah Fant is active, and Marquise Goodwin is active for the Seahawks. So
Is Damian Harris active?
last minute push for the Seahawks to try to get back into the playoffs, I guess.
And then real quick, the Texans and Titans game has been delayed 1 hour due to weather
Ooh.
conditions and
Oh, wow.
power outages.
More time to watch that game.
Yeah, so
That's a
obviously
big
a lot of
game, man.
interesting games today and tomorrow. So
Yeah.
Who are you asking about?
Damian Harris for the Patriots running back. Yeah, I know he's a game time decision.
Well, Jordan Schultz says the Patriots plan to sit Damian Harris today versus the Bengals.
Okay, it don't really matter at this point. It really, I've
what
never.
do you mean, man? You still have a chance.
You're asking about it.
I've never been so ready for these 3 weeks to get over. I don't know what to damn do, man.
Kinlaw, he's in for the Niners.
That defense is already the defense is solid.
They don't
It's
even
been
need
a
him.
while. I haven't heard from him in I don't know when.
Since that last year when he ripped it on the fan.
Oh man, yeah, crazy. Anywho, yeah, obviously a lot of good games, and then the Monday Night Football game too. Indianapolis hosting the Chargers. That's a big game for the Chargers. Nick Foles is going to start for the Colts. They just blew a 33-0 lead last week into the Minnesota Vikings. So we'll see how the Colts play. But before we end today's show, any final thoughts?
Jerry?
I'm just kind of really impressed by the Detroit Lions, man. I like how they were able to change around this entire season. So it just shows you, when you think you know about the NFL, you really don't know. That's the one thing that we've learned. I think, especially rounding year 3, right? In the NFL is like when you can look at the stats. You can watch as much tape as much as possible, but in the end, it's about. I think in the end, it's about the coaching and the quarterback relationship. And if those two are working hand in hand, you're only helping yourself with success to making a push into the playoffs. And of course, defense wins championships. But without a great quarterback, I don't know.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think you look at Detroit being a young team, the second youngest team in football. Typically, when a young team is playing their best football at the beginning of the season, it's because they're ignorant. They're not adjusted to anything. Defenses, offenses around the league are still figuring them out. Theoretically, you want a young team to be playing their best towards the end of the season. That means they learn something and they figure something out. I don't want you playing terrible as the season goes on. That means you didn't learn anything, you didn't figure things out. So if you look at Detroit right now, they're going to Carolina. Today's supposed to be the coldest game, the coldest home game in Carolina Panthers history. They ain't used to that. I know
It's cold down here,
they
too.
play indoors here, but the players here live here. A lot of them been living here for a long time. Detroit is used to going to Green Bay every year, going to Chicago every year, um, posting up in Minnesota every year, even though Minnesota plays outdoors. It's going to be an interesting game. Detroit has a chance, I believe, if they win today, and San Francisco beats Washington, and let's say Seattle drops a game to Kansas City, we have a position to really jump some teams and really move up. So root for
That's a
us.
lot. That you're asking a lot.
No,
Don't
this, no, no,
No,
no.
because Seattle could very well lose to
Well,
Kansas
yeah,
City,
yeah.
and San Francisco could very well blow the top off Washington.
don't
So
disappoint me now, Detroit.
don't disappoint
Do
me
what
now.
you're supposed to do.
Let me ask you, well, are you gonna give Jared Goff another year? Would you be disappointed the Lions don't take a quarterback this year?
No, because I don't think that Rams pick is going to be high enough for us to get one of the guys, unless you have a situation where elite defensive players wind up going 1-2 or whatever. I'm not sure if the Rams will win another game, so more than likely that Rams pick will probably be around 4. And you know how I feel about the quarterback position. Unless a Bryce Young falls to you, that's different. But a lot can change between now and April. But you have to give Goff another year. He's played too well, and down the stretch, especially if this team gets to the playoffs. And they get to the playoffs based off of how well he performed offensively this year. You got to give him another year. But you do draft the guy. You have to draft the quarterback.
Just not in the first round.
I wouldn't, but it all depends on how that draft falls. That Lions pick right now is 18th overall. Who would have thought the Lions would possibly be picking 18th overall? And if they keep on winning, you talking about us picking 21st, 22nd, or whatever. So a quarterback could fall to that spot, but I'm not in favor of it at all. If you don't take a quarterback in the top 5 this year, don't take one at all until like maybe the 3rd round.
Somebody wanted your take on Tanner McKee.
Tanner McKee,
Yes.
love him, but he's a statue. Love him,
Is
but
he a
he's a
first?
statue.
Is he a first rounder?
I think he is. I think he is for the right team. I had him mocked to the Atlanta Falcons a few weeks ago because I think the Falcons, they're going to lean towards quarterback, I believe. But
With
if
them
you
getting
look at,
Ritter from last year.
yeah, but Ritter didn't look all that hot last week.
One
And
game,
Ritter,
Walt.
Last one
One
week.
game,
but
bro.
but Ritter also has the bias handicap going against him that he's old. And you know how the
Man,
league feels about senior
we just talking
quarterbacks.
about giving young quarterbacks a couple years, man. You want to
Yeah,
throw
How
them
old
out
is
but
every
he's
Ritter?
not
How
game?
old is
young.
Ritter? How old is he? Like 25, probably.
I think, Jerry, how old is Desmond
He's
Ritter?
he's 24, but he's gonna be 25 come the new league.
Hey,
year.
well,
Man,
he's gonna be like
he's
Benjamin Button, bro. He's just gonna get younger with age.
But no, you know what? The league is real high on Tanner McKee. And you remember he played under David Shaw at Stanford in that pro offense. It's kind of prehistoric now, but he makes all the right reads, quick release, strong arm, smart kid. Actually winning what he spent 2 years on a mission with his church, I believe. So he hasn't played a ton of football. But I think once the combine rolls around, he puts on shorts and a t-shirt like everybody else. He's gonna interview good, and he's gonna look good. He's gonna look the part. So I like Tanner McKee. I currently have McKee as my 3rd quarterback.
Thank you. Well, you answered quite a few questions there today.
I'm
All
trying,
right,
man.
well,
I'm trying.
come on, man. Give Desmond a little bit of time.
It's not us. It's,
Man, listen,
look,
Jerry.
look, he's
Jerry, you know how these organizations are, Jerry.
no, I do. And he's lucky he's not in New York, right?
He's
'Cause
like
if he was
who's
in
the
New York,
quarterback that came out of Oklahoma State?
Brandon Whedon.
Yep, he was old too, right?
oh man, that guy was old.
Old.
I believe he was 29 when they
Whedon was
got.
26, wasn't he?
No, I think he was 29 when he.
Like 26 or 7, something like that.
Well, how old was Chad Hutchinson?
Living
Oh man,
Jerry. Chad Hutchinson was what, 26?
hold up. You got me on Brandon Whedon. Hold on.
He's stuck on. How the hell did we get on Brandon Whedon?
I just remember you
From
said old
playoff
quarterbacks.
talk.
I'm like, wait,
From playoff talk, we trailed over into Brandon Whedon territory.
So Brandon Whedon is 39. So do the math. 39.
Jesus.
Do the math. 39.
Jesus.
39 minus 2012. What is that? I mean, let's see. They got a calculator with them. Let's see.
Well, he got drafted by
the Cleveland Browns.
who drafted? No, in baseball, who drafted him?
Oh, that's what gave him the.
Andre Stevenson, Pierce.
He got drafted by a baseball team.
Yeah. Either way, Brandon Weeden ain't walking in that door.
He was 29 years old when he got drafted.
Oh wow!
He was 29 years old. He got drafted. So I was
and
right.
how old's Desmond?
Desmond is, to be exact. So we have everything's been fact checked. Desmond Ritter is
25.
No, he's currently 23.
Oh man, he's not even old.
Yeah, I thought he was 24.
Listen,
man looks old though
this.
because we're seeing a hairline.
Teams have a tendency to not give quarterbacks that were drafted outside of the first round a lot of leeway. That's just how it is. If you were a first round pick and you're 22,
he's the same age as Zach Wilson
and Trevor.
I mean, what's the
strange?
Yeah,
what's the average age when you come into the league your first year? Like 22, right?
22 going on 23. 22 coming on 23.
He's fine.
Well, the thing is that Desmond Ritter's been playing football for like, what was it? 5? I think he played total of. I think
he got 7. He got 7 more years till he hit 30.
Isn't that good though?
Yeah,
the more football he's played, he's got experience.
Yeah, but I think
he also wasn't a first round pick. Those guys don't get the same leeway.
But he's not going to a city like New York or Philadelphia, man, because there you get booed, bro. Like, I am not lying to you.
He's in Atlanta. He ain't gonna. They'll be.
Let me ask you this: Is Desmond Ritter worth passing on C.J. Stroud if he falls to the Falcons at pick 6 or pick 7 or even Will Levis? Like, there's a big gamble on Will Levis.
All right, proof taken. All right. With that being said, thank you everyone out there for watching. Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.
Yes, sir.